So money and friendships are two relationships that are so intricately intertwined with almost everything that we do in our lives. And yet a study by couponcoins.com did mention that 21% of people have broken up with their friends over money. And also 41% of respondents felt that they were spending more money on their friends than their friends were spending on them. So you might have guessed it, the topic for today is money and friendships. This is Jane and welcome to Money and Me. So in studio with me today, I have a good friend of mine, Ruth. I feel like it was only right that my friend should be here to help me talk about this topic. Ruth is not only a good friend of mine and an ex-professional, or is it still current professional?
Well, we can say we've transitioned, but still professional somewhere.
So when we say professional, I mean she was in like a structured, was working for the government type job, and then she has moved on now. She is the founder and a proprietor of My Perfect Stitch and My Perfect Stitch Home, which are companies that bring African fabric into gorgeous life through furniture, through clothing. And also she is a wife and a mother. Welcome, Ruth.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited to
I'm
have
excited.
you here.
I'm excited. Super excited.
Yeah. So what I want to pick up on is friendships and money. First of all, why is it such a heavy topic? First of all, money on itself, but when it comes into friendship as well, why do you think?
I feel like friendship is a very deep-rooted thing because you develop a relationship where you share like the most with people. And money is also a very interesting aspect. So when you bring the two together, especially that money has been for a very long time a topic that we never fully talk about. Like it's something that scares us, it's something that is quite deep to us. So when you bring money and friendship together, already there's a deepness in friendship and there's already a deepness in money. People don't necessarily want to talk about it. So you just start having to conquer towards someone.
Yeah.
Because every time you go out, you're the one buying the coffees, you're the one buying the wines. Your friend doesn't spend every time you have to pick them up. They don't even consider that you're using fuel. So I feel like for you to develop a really good friendship, money has to be a hard conversation that you need to have. Also in growing each other, like what type of friendships are you having? Is it something that is growing you to make you a better person, where you're able to spend as you want to spend, to save as much as you want to save, or to be able to build the type of life that you eventually want to have? True.
But also I feel like there's a little bit of like a negative emotion of shame attached. I mean, like I know when I went through like some of my money struggles and I was dealing with my debt, like just having to come out and say, guys, I can't hang out with you. We can't go there and do the girls' weekend the way we used to do. It's something that doesn't just come easily. So like it takes a certain level of friendship
for you to be able to say the truth.
Exactly.
Yes. I feel like also, I think it's a conversation that we've had before, a type of perception that you give people. Sometimes you don't even give people. People tend to perceive you, a certain way. Jen works in a bank, obviously she has money. Ruth runs her own business, obviously she has money. But then if you don't have the necessary conversation where you're like, okay guys, in as much as I run my own business, it doesn't mean that I'm swimming in thousands all the time. And also I think it helps you gauge the type of friendships that you have. If you can't tell the truth and say, we can't hang out on Friday night because I don't have money, then what type of friends do you have? Why can't you tell them the truth? Why is it that you have some sort of shame? So I feel like it's something that you should have as a person on your own before you, like, why do I feel a certain way when I want to tell Jane that I can't hang out with you? Like, what is it? Is it something that I have to deal with personally? Or is it something in my friendship with her that doesn't allow me to come out and say what I want to say? Yeah.
True. So my question is, have you ever broken up with a friend over money?
Well, I feel like I'm quite intentional with my friendships. Like, I know what I want from my friendships, and I also want it to be a type of situation where my friends know what they want from me. And I feel like I'm also very intentional with telling them where I'm going, where I want to be, and where I'm at. So if I have broken up with... No, actually, I think I have to think about it.
You're remembering, it's coming back.
It's coming back. It wasn't necessarily a money thing. But then, like, when we look at it, there was money that was spent. So it was a thing of, I'm ever coming to your house. Like, that means that, but then I didn't even have a car, so like I'm ever getting on a bus to come to your house. So there's that money. When it's your birthday, I'm the one who's buying like the big gifts. But then like, so when you sit, you're not even thinking about the money aspect, but then you are spending money because you're buying a gift with this amount of money. You're spending transport money to go to their house. You are contributing to whatever is happening. And then when it's their 10, they're like, no, I can't do this for you because my husband said that we don't have money. Or I can't do this because mommy, like you can't see that I've been, because you're my friend. I feel like there's certain sacrifices that I am supposed to do for you, not even because it's an obligation, but because it's coming out of love. And when you love someone, you spend on them, you sacrifice on them.
Okay, so let's go a little deeper here with me. So do you feel like, okay, like you talked about gifts, I'm ever buying you expensive gifts, then do you feel like, is it, we always say the thought that counts, but like if you bought me something big for my birthday, then do you expect me to then reciprocate with something big for yours as well? Or maybe to me, I thought something small but more thoughtful and more meaningful would work for you. So like, what are we talking about balancing there now?
Well, I feel like gifts are personal things. So you have to know your friends. Like I know you like nice things. And it's just the truth. So I feel like you have to know your friend and the type of friend that they are. So is it someone who likes expensive things because that's their lifestyle? Is it someone who likes personal things, like where I'm putting in time to make, or I'm looking at where is it gonna go? Or is it a person who is quite sentimental? So like if I buy them when I travel, I buy them a key holder. So that's something that is going to say, oh, this person thought of me and they value me and then they brought me this. Like that's why I said, like at the beginning, these are hard conversations that we have to have. Every relationship needs to have hard conversations and say, okay, I want you to be in my life and I want you to be in my life for a very long time. And if I want you to be in my life for a very long time, I need to know you. What do you like? What don't you like? What is of value to you? What is not of value? So if I buy you a really big car, is that going to show that I love you? Or if I spend time with you? So I think it also goes back to like love languages and everything, where you deeply understand your friend. So if your friend likes expensive things, you have to know that this is what they like. But then you can't compare it to them doing the same thing for you, because you might not necessarily like what they like.
True. I don't even feel like, okay, this is just a personal opinion, but I don't even feel like money conversations with friends need to be that hard. I mean, you and I have been friends for a long time.
Yeah.
We've talked about almost everything. And we've tackled money as well. I don't think those were hard conversations.
No, but then like I had said before, like we're quite intentional. Like you would have stopped being my friend a very long time ago. I would have stopped being your friend a very long time ago. There are times when we're not talking to each other, but then even when we start, like we'd go maybe like 2 months and we haven't. And the next time we're having conversations like we were talking yesterday.
Yeah.
So like we've been quite intentional, and like I never feel like you feel like you cannot talk to me about something. I don't feel like that. Also, it's because we both know where we want to go. True. We both know what is important in our lives, and we both know how to join into that space. So like I had said before, like you have to know what type of friend it is. Yeah. And are they really your friend, or are they coming to you because they want proximity and say, oh, I want to be Jane's friend because I want the Jane that everybody knows, you know what I mean? So when you don't have money, it means that Jane is not my friend, because you're not hanging out, you're not going to buy, or like, I'm getting cake almost every other week. But then, so if I say, okay, Jane, let's have coffee and let's have cake, is she going to come? But then the day I say, Jane, I can't come, just come home with drinks Zigolo. You know what I mean? Like, are you going to come? True. So it's one of those, you have to gauge, is it proximity that you want, or is it friendship that you want?
Okay. Awesome. So this is Jane. We are on Money and Me on live TV, and we are talking friendships about money. We are going to go to break, and then after break, we're going to talk about friendships and investments.
Africans Unlocked Season 1.
Welcome back to Money and Me. On set with me, I have Ruth, and we are talking about friendships and money. So we were just about to dive into investments. How much should you or do you disclose to your friends about your investments or your plans and all those things? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had situations where you share a dream or a plan with somebody and they're just like, no, fam?
No, but not necessarily where they say no, but then you can read their body language. So it's like, so I'm thinking that, maybe I should buy land, which is like by the riverfront and everything. And then they're thinking, yeah, I think that is nice. But then, like, when you look deep, you can see it, okay.
So you're not getting the enthusiasm
that you would expect. And essentially, I've had like a number of that because, I dream big. So like,
we know.
So when I'm saying stuff, sometimes I have to watch myself because I'm thinking, like, where is my friend at? But also, it also has helped me to know who exactly I should share certain things with and who I shouldn't, and also when I should share certain things with, because sometimes you're deep convicted that it's going to work out, but then when you share with your friend, they might be skeptical about something, so maybe you say, okay, guys, my foundation is up. Then you're like, oh, okay. Like, what happened? So I feel like not everything should come. Of course, in friendships we should share stuff, but then like be mindful when to share the stuff, how to share the stuff, and also be mindful of who are dream killers, not necessarily because they want to kill your dream, but because that's just the personalities. So like them, you have to be mindful.
So then you would say that your friendships do have a sort of influence on whether or not you go ahead or how you feel about certain investments at a given time. Like you could be excited about one thing and you talk to Ruth and Ruth is like, it won't work.
Yes, and then you start doubting yourself and thinking, should I? Shouldn't I? How? You know what I mean? I feel like you have to know, okay, this one, I can tell them this at the beginning. So if I'm thinking I want to get 50 hectares of land, is this a person I need to talk to? Because you also have to be mindful, like, how is their scale of thinking? You know what I mean? Not necessarily like it's a bad thing, but then like they're not exposed enough to think bigger. So the first question will be like, what are you going to do with 50 hectares of land? Why can't you just be like the rest of us and just get 1 hectare? But I mean, might not even be a hectare, just maybe 1 acre, you know what I mean? Then you're going home and you're thinking, maybe I should just, like I shouldn't survive, I should just sit here
and get my 1 hectare.
And just get my 1 hectare, or maybe just get the 40 by 40 while we're at it. So like you have to gauge and protect your dreams, not because your friendships are not important, but then sometimes you need sanity before you can actually grow.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I've had instances where I do feel a little bit like, am I greedy? Like around friends?
Yeah.
So this happens and you're like, yeah, so this has happened. So now from here, I want to do this. And then you share with your friends and they're just like, no, just be happy.
Just be content.
Yeah, it leaves you thinking like, hey, is there something wrong with me? Like, am I greedy? Do I want too much? Should I tone it down and things like that? So I do get where you're coming from. But on the flip side, how do you advise your friend or tell your friend if you think that their idea is like their investment idea or whatever is not like viable, it's not a good idea, or you're just skeptical because you know them so well, so you know like, okay, I know Jane can commit to this, but this chances are she will just lose money, How do you go about having that conversation without looking like you're a dream killer?
That's a hard one. Because I'm not Satomi when it comes to giving it back.
When God was pouring, the Satoshi meter was like, twing.
It was, because I honestly don't know how to say things in a subtle way. Sometimes it comes out harsh, but then I like to give my opinion the way I see it. So I think for some, there's something that I was reading that I shared with a friend of mine, and was saying, like, sometimes when your friend comes with a good idea, go to them and say, if I was your biggest competitor, would you like me to, like, how would you work around it? So let's say, for example, I'm selling cement and there's already another cement company, or I'm coming to you with the idea of I want to start selling cement. Like, how would you ensure that you make your dream become as big, if not bigger, as your competitor? What are you thinking about? And then you let them dream that big. So, like, look at the person who sells this or who does this. How do they do it, and what are the things that you need to do to ensure get there? And then in there, you'll be able to see if they want to put in the work or if they don't.
And then, but you've seen that they don't.
Yeah.
So then, so how are you like, Jane, this is not going to work for you?
Let them do it. Oh. Just, it's like, okay, I mean, you think this is
so that like 7 months down the line, you go and
so
like, I knew this would happen.
And then you're like, so how's it going? Yeah, it didn't because I'm so sorry, Mandy. Maybe let's start thinking about something else. But then you knew. So sometimes you have to let people just go through and suffer the consequences. But just tell them that when you come back, I will still be there. Like, they should be confident enough to know that you are still going to be my friend. But then there are times like a person has like a lot of money, and then you can see at this one they're just going to blow it up. Hey, that one you have to try. Like, this is where you have to fight. And they're like, just for your sanity, please. Yeah. But then if they still want to go ahead and do it, let them. They're not imprisoned with your friendship. So, like, let them do as much as they want to do. Then they'll learn the consequences.
That almost sounds mean to me. I'm like running back on our friendships and like, what has she let me do?
I've let you do a number of things.
You have?
Yeah.
Oh,
but you still grow. You still grow. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about like different friendship personalities. Friendship, money, friendship, personality. Anyway, personalities around money, like with your friends.
Yeah.
We all, like, each of your friends will have a different personality around them. Talk to me about how you're dealing with the freeloader, the one who's always just getting. And I'm talking about money specifically. I'm not talking about like time or emotions and those ones who just come. You go out, the bill comes, they get up and, oh, I have to go to the bathroom. Every time they just want to come get things from you. Like, how are we dealing with those guys?
We got Dutch. That's what they say.
We got Dutch.
So, like, okay, you stand up and you go to the bathroom. When you come back, there's still a bill waiting.
It's waiting for you. I know, I've done that.
And say, okay, it's still waiting. We all came back. But then I feel like you have to say, okay, guys, we're going to hang out. Where are we going? Okay, we'll sit here. For how long? What are we going to eat? And then the bill. I remember there's a time I went out with friends of mine, maybe like 10 years ago. And so we go to this place, and then we're having wine and we're eating and everything. So when we went initially, like, all of us had, like, we had 100 kwacha, 50 kwacha.
This was 10 years ago.
Money was like, And then so we sat and we started eating, and then drinks became nice. So I was like, oh, let's go for another round.
Oh, wow.
So we ordered, and then another round came. So, like, when we were starting, we started with 250, and one of us said, I only have 50 kwacha. So they said, oh, okay, we'll cover you. But then, so you see, we had the conversation before. So even when Bill, like, okay, drinks are coming, and then we're looking, it's like, okay, guys, this is going to, like, money has to come out here. By the time we're leaving, the bill was like 591. So, like, okay, so what starts to happen?
Did you clean place?
No, we went to clean out our accounts. But then there was Finance Bank. So literally, like, okay, so how much do you have in your account? One's like, oh, I have 150. The other one's like, oh, I have 150. It's like, okay, bring the money together. But then we talked about it. So if it's someone who just comes to the table, you can notice like a habit and said, okay, this one always comes.
Yeah.
Next time you're like, mommy, All of us here, we work for our money.
I would like to think that the freeloader like lacks the discipline to tell you from the beginning, like I don't have, or they will lie. They'll say no. So we're just sitting here. I'm waiting for somebody. They'll bring me this much, and then they go ahead and then leave you in a fix.
Yeah.
Because
and then they don't bring. I know someone like that.
So I would say chuck them.
Yes. So like watch them and say 1, 2. Okay, next time no, we're not going. Just come to my house. We'll have tea.
True, I've done that so many times.
That's it.
I had tea at people's houses. Okay, what about I think they're called Poor Sally or Poor Sophie. So they don't have as much money as you have, and so you constantly have to cover them. Like, how are we navigating that one?
Those ones you have to tell them, watch your lifestyle. Like if you can't afford it, don't even go outside the house. Just watch your lifestyle, and like you have to
don't even go outside the house.
Just have the candid conversation and say, okay, guys, like I know that we all want to hang out, but then because other people tend to think just because you earn a little bit more than they, or like you spend a little more than then they feel entitled to your money. It's like no, there's no entitlement here. If I want to spend on you, I want to spend on you. It doesn't mean that I have to spend on you. So watch your lifestyle. Are you able to come out? So okay, yes, we're planning a trip. Can you afford the trip? If you can't, then just say, guys, I'll see you when we come back.
True. This is so interesting. So we're going to go to break, and then we'll come back, and what you've talked about with Poor Sally or Poor Sophie, I want us to tackle black tax a little bit with our friendships. So stay tuned. You're watching Money and Me on Live TV, and we're about to talk about black tax. Welcome back to Money and Me, and today we're talking about friendships and money. Before the break, we were just about to talk about bring in black tax into friendships. We were talking about Sophie, who's she understandably doesn't have as much money as her other friends, but she's always wanting to freeload off you. So, and then you said they feel entitled, which brought us to the circled us to black tax. How much of that should we as friends be indulging with our friends when they come and say, oh, I don't have money for meal, oh, my child needs diapers, oh, this and that? How much of that should we as friends help out with? And at which point are we just like, no, I'm not helping out anymore?
I feel like you have to see how serious the situation is. And I have a friend who helps, but then they are very... like they tell me from the beginning, like, how much money do you have? Okay, you have to pay me back in 2 weeks. And literally, like, you have to pay back in 2 weeks, because they'll say, I've been saving up for money, or you can see, like, I've been working and I've been getting extra gigs because I'm trying to raise money for school, or because I want to pay for my son's school fees, or because I want to do this house project. So do you need money now? Yes, but then you know that I have these projects that I want to do. So I'll give you from my school money so that you can use it. Then you can pay me back in 2 weeks. So like they've explained to you where and how.
I see a breakup coming.
Yes, so like literally like, okay, so you're going to give me back in 2 weeks. And then there's also are you able to give me back this amount of money if I give you in 2 weeks time? If not, when are you able to give me? So that they also know that this is just not free charity. I'm just not giving you money just because other people can say, oh, okay, that person has a lot of money, so they can be able to give, but then you're not seeing the aspect that they work really hard for the money. So it's a conversation that needs to be had. So like when we're talking about openness in friendship, it's okay, I'm doing school now, and then say, guys, this is how much my school costs. So you already know, okay, by the time I'm going to Ruth to ask her for money, she's already paying school fees. So how is it? But people never think like that sometimes. They just see that you have all these things.
Yeah, they see their own problem and that's it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't want to see that you might also have things that need to be paid for.
I'm not of the idea of giving your friends money or even relatives money out of your savings. It's really just like no. I feel like in my budget there's a line.
Yeah.
There's a line for luxuries and contingency and whatever, and so that is what I work from normally. So if my friend comes and says, oh, I need this much, I see if it fits. If it doesn't fit, then I'll say I can only afford to give you this much.
Yeah.
That's a personal preference. But yeah, maybe if it's like something big, then I would be like, okay, savings, you have to pay me back. But if we're talking about poor Sophie who can't afford this right now, chances are she won't give you back that money.
And then it will lead to a nasty breakup. And then also it will be a thing of where they're thinking, but that person has money to indulge. Why do they take their kids to this school? Because that's the entitlement, like people start to think. But then like you don't know that this is the preference that I have. I have someone who started telling me, like, I don't even travel as much. And someone was like, you get on planes like you get on buses. So I'm like, no, but then it's what I've decided. So like, if I know that this trip is going to cost me this much, I'm going to put in the work so that I'll be able to buy myself a ticket. It doesn't mean that I have so much money lying around, you know what I mean? So when you have a problem, you can come to me and then I'll be able to give you the money. And I've been quite deliberate with that. Like I tell my friends, this is what is happening, so that if you have a situation, you already know that this is where I'm at. It doesn't mean that I won't be able to help you. It's just that you should also know that when I have money, I also have things that have to be paid for. But I also put in work to be able to get money. So if you're a poor Sophie and then you just sit around, you don't put in work, and then you expect me to go to work and have to come and give you money, then we're not being fair on each other.
Okay. So then do you feel like these are just friendships that we should just cut off right from the beginning?
Because like if you're like there's no change that is happening, because it becomes draining. Like I don't want to have a friend who every time I'm sitting with them, they just drain every energy that I have. Then what's the essence?
And it will probably lead to this cycle of like somewhat gossip, because if I have this friend who's constantly doing this and then I can't really talk to them, so I'll come and complain to you.
Yes.
And so when they find out, they'll feel like, oh, she was gossiping about me or whatever. So it just leads to like
a vicious circle.
funny,
and it's not a good place to be. It's just not a good place to be.
So as we head towards like the conclusion of this conversation, I just want to go back to the investment again. Like, as friends, should we be investing together? Should we be, pulling money together and saying there's this big project? Like, I want to do a big inner city housing project. Like in my future, I see like 1,000 apartments right on Cairo Road. Yeah. Should I be pulling in my friends, or should I be looking for professionals to pull in? Professional investors.
See, like we're always talking about partnerships and friendships, and how sometimes people break up and then they break off the friendship and also the partnership. So is a person reliable if you didn't know them and then you just knew of them? Would it be someone that you want to have a business relationship with? Is it someone that you want to invest money with? Like, are they the type of person who are logical enough to have the conversation about money? If not, you know your friends well, you know who does well with money and who doesn't. So sometimes just to preserve the friendship, don't go into a money relationship with them. Let it just be like because I value you as my friend and I'm very intentional about having you in my life. But then I know that this aspect of your life is not the best. Maybe we shouldn't explore this together. Because sometimes we want to get into relationships, like business relationships with people because they are our friends and not necessarily because they have a good money habit. So now you're like, I just got that guy because he was my friend and can you imagine he disappointed me? No, you already knew the type of life that they had. Why did you go all the way? So some businesses you have to know, okay, this one is worth doing with this one. This one, just remain.
And I think sometimes we assume that because they did it to somebody else and I'm their friend, they're not going to do it to me.
Yeah. I don't know, I don't know why we have that thing. I think it's just a human thing where we always feel like certain things will never happen to you. Yeah, but then they come on your door and they say, I'm here because you invited me to come in, you know what I mean? Yeah. So watch and say, okay, this person. Sometimes it may even be better to do business with someone who's not even your friend just because you want your business to do well.
True. On that note, last words on friendship and money.
I feel like
give some advice.
No, but I honestly feel like we've talked about you have to be quite intentional with your friendships, where they're going, just like a relationship. Talk about your vision together and say, I want you in my life. I want you to be there until the day I die, and I want it to be preserved. Also know which friends are good for the money. Like this one knows. But then if someone is going to be in your life for a very long time until you die, it means that you have to be intentional with teaching them. Sometimes it's not by words, but it's by actions. And then also have friends that you dream with, that you challenge each other with, that you're growing with. Because it doesn't make sense if I'm growing and you're not growing, then there's something wrong with our friendship. But if you're thriving, it means that you're creating a space for me. If I'm thriving, I'm also creating a space for you, and we can get richer together.
Wow, this is why I had you on, because you're so wise. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I hope you got some valuable insights on this episode of Money and Me on Live TV. This has been Jane, and see you next week.